You ever found yourself flooded, just flooded with emotions? Maybe waves of depression, sadness, or maybe just overwhelming feelings of fear or anxiety? Well, I'm going to guess that it's probably your Thinkarater. And if you don't know what your Thinkarater is, or if you don't know how to reset it or recalibrate it, then you got to stick around and figure it out with me. All right? Hi, I'm Brett, your favorite shrink, and welcome. Welcome to My 5 Minds. This is the program where you're going to learn to change your neuropsychology, something we call systems. I want to help you be more, do more, and feel better by helping you understand the systems within your brain. Today, specifically, what we're going to look at is what's called a Thinkarater. See, all of us inside of our brain have a way of calibrating what's happening to us. Your brain, in many ways, does not like to think. I know that sounds kind of weird, kind of strange, but brains are not big on thinking because thinking takes effort. Thinking takes time. Thinking takes energy. And so it likes to create systems, quick, easy systems for your brain to assess situations, assess what's going on, and know how to react. It's much more efficient than sitting there, what do I do? So what your brain does is it calibrates things. Well, one of the ways your brain calibrates is what I call a Thinkarater. It rates everything that's happening to you on a scale from 1 to 10. And a lot of times when we're flooding with emotions over situations that maybe are this big and yet we're feeling them this big, it's oftentimes because the way our brain is calculating them or calibrated, it's off. And it's sending us off into waves and waves of high emotion, depression, anxiety, whatever. So let's check out how we're going to learn. Let's check out how to readjust your Thinkarater. Now, you know I love to share stories. I love to talk about different people's situations so you can get a real life example of what's happening. Well, today, in this example, I'm going to use my story because the other day I came home and I found a notice on my door. It was 2 certified letters. I'm like, oh, crap. Who sends certified letters? It wasn't a package. It was a letter. It's like, I bet you I know who it was. Sure enough, I go down to the post office, present the ticket. They give me the certified letters, and it's from our good friend, the IRS. And I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be bad. IRS never sends me love letters. IRS never sends me letters of refund or appreciation. They just want one thing. They want money. And I'm thinking, oh, crap. And all of a sudden, I'm going through all the worst case scenarios in my head, and my anxiety is starting to pump. And as my anxiety pumps, my heart starts beating, and I start flipping out. Well, right away, I started to recognize what's going on. I said, wait, hold on. I am taking this situation. I don't even know what the letter says yet, and I'm flipping out. And I could tell that I was giving myself 8s, 9s. I was flooding with emotions, and I had to reset and recalibrate what my Thinkarater was due. So let me map it out for you. So let's look at it from a mind map point of view, and I can show you kind of what's going on and then show you how we're going to fix it. All right? So let me walk you through my mind map so you can kind of see what my process was. First thing I do, I see the infamous initials IRS, and I think, crap. That's all happening up in my thinking mind. Thinking minds are always about words, so I know that's up there. I'm thinking, crap, this isn't going to be good. As I start to think that, the information is then passed over to my right neocortex, which then begins to think, imagine, it's the creative brain. So I'm creating all the worst case scenarios. How bad can this be? And I start creating in my mind nightmare scenarios, thousands of dollars, whatever. As I'm creating in my creative mind all the worst case scenarios, in my emotional mind, you can imagine, emotions are charging high. My energy is rising, but at the same time, it's also collapsing. It's also becoming constricted. And as the energy rises and constricts, anxiety starts to go off the chart. What's that do? Well, it sends my body mind into fight or flight. Obviously, flight. And heart starts racing. My heart starts pounding. Now, conscious mind, thinking mind. Conscious mind kind of offline. It's not really fully conscious of what's going on because I'm trying to block it out. I'm trying not to really think too much about it, but it's still happening. And what's created is a feedback loop. As my thinking mind starts to feel my body go into fight or flight, it starts creating more scenarios or makes those scenarios more vivid, which makes the emotions more vivid, and everything starts to create a loop. And I'm getting worse. Now, I'm somewhat aware of what's going on, but not fully aware of what's going on. I have to create a change, I have to be fully aware of what's going on. I got to get myself conscious. This is not happening to me. This is something I'm creating on myself. And this is where it's really helpful to create a pattern interrupt. And the pattern interrupt is I want to look at my Thinkarater, because that's really where it's all beginning for me. So I go back to my thinking mind and I look at this scenario and I think, okay, I got this letter. I haven't even opened it yet, but I can see myself flooding. And as I think about what am I doing, making myself conscious, step one, I look at, I've given this letter an 8. I'm seeing it as a disaster. I've rated it as an 8. As I rate it as an 8, my emotional mind responds in kind. It rates with a high energy 8 too. So that's what's happening. I got to see my pattern. My pattern is I put it in my Thinkarater. My Thinkarater is given an 8 out of 10, and my emotional mind is responding with an 8 out of 10. Well, here's the next step. Second step. I want to interrupt. I want to interrupt the pattern. So I intentionally go into my thinking mind and I think to myself, all right, anybody bleeding? Anybody dying? Is this the end of the world? And I think to myself, no, this is not the end of the world. So I say, okay, I'm going to readjust. I'm going to readjust my Thinkarater in my thinking mind. And I'm going to say, hey, this is a 1. This is not a 10. This is not even an 8. This is a 1. So I readjust my Thinkarater. This is not a big deal. As I readjust my Thinkarater, my creative mind starts going back to picturing normal things and thinking about and dwelling on normal things, because there's not a crisis here. As my thinking brain starts to, or my creative brain starts to see things are normal, then my emotional mind begins to drop too. And it now is a 1 instead of an 8. Because I've dropped the crisis in my thinking mind, it's also corresponded with dropping the energy in my emotional mind. So my emotional mind now begins to calm. Well, what happens to my body mind? As my emotional drivers stop this high intensity collapse and starts to relax and flow, my body relaxes in kind. And now I've interrupted the process. See how it works? Your Thinkarater rates everything that happens to you. Everything. And luckily, most of the things that your Thinkarater rates are pretty low, and you don't even notice them. But when it finds something significant, oftentimes what it can do is it can get out of calibration, and it can rate something higher than it really needs to be. And when it does that, it will kick in your emotional mind into higher levels of energy than it needs to be. And then that creates the loop. Got it? So the way to adjust out of it, the way to correct it, is to recalibrate my Thinkarater. And that's what I needed to do. Now here's the funny part of the story. I finally get home. I open up the letter. I look inside. I owe $100. $100? Really? $100? That's what I owe? Okay, I can live with that. I'm good. I don't even want to contest it. I don't even want to search it. I don't even want to think about where I made my mistake. Who cares? It's $100. I'm going to write him a check for $100. We're done. It was a one all along. Now, homework for you. What I want you to do is I want you to create a piece of paper and write on it on a list all of the things that happen in life, from the most significant, the most important, to the least important. Okay? And maybe even at the first, don't even worry about ordering it yet. Just write down all the different things that happen in life for all of us. Death, illness, jobs, job loss, injury, whatever it may be. Write down all the things that happen to us in life. And then I want you to rank it. I want you to rank 10s to 1s. Okay? I want you to say, what would be a 10 in life? For me, a 10 would be somebody I love, somebody I care about, family member dying. That'd be a 10. No question about it. A 9, maybe somebody I love, somebody I care about getting really seriously injured. 8, maybe losing my house. I don't know. Maybe getting injured myself. 7, maybe losing a job. Maybe a career job. I don't know. I'll just start working through the list and start figuring out, where do I think everything falls? It doesn't really matter. There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. But here's what's important. Take that list, and then as things happen to you in life, which they will, I want you to go to your list. And I want you to go, okay, did anybody die? Anybody bleeding? It's the end of the world? No. And I want you to be able to recalibrate your Thinkarater. Because a lot of times, your Thinkarater is going to want to go 8s, 9s, and 10s. And it's just not. Most things in life are 1s, 2s, and 3s. And if you can keep your Thinkarater in correct calibration, you're going to do so much better. If you like this video, I want you to like the video. If you want to learn more about your Thinkarater and about systems, subscribe. If you want to add some comments about some of the things that you found in this exercise for yourself, I want you to add them in the comments below. Again, everything I'm going to do is going to be linked in the descriptions. And if you want to ask me any questions, please do so in the comment section as well. I'm Brett with My 5 Minds. I'll talk to you soon.